Welcome to Slim Nation's One-on-One podcast with conversations featuring the host, James Slim Overton.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Slim Nations 101's podcast. I'm James Slim Overton, and I'm here with a special guest, Lisa Graham. She's a owner, operator, and a nail tech. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to hold on. Sorry about that. That little feedback from one of my other. I have about three screens up here. I try to keep up with.
It's understandable.
Yes, sometimes I forgot to turn that down. But anyway, or either that or I like hearing my voice. I don't know which one it is. Might be a combination of both. But anyway,
Yeah.
again, I'm here with Lisa Graham and trying to get her on here for a while. Last saw her in person at the State of the City address. And we had a conversation then. I think that was the first time we actually seen each other in person, but been following each other on Facebook, and I've been following you and your business. And so I want to start out asking that you have how long has your business been operating?
Okay, so Nailz2C, it started at Nailz2C. Nailz2C
Yeah,
started.
go ahead.
Nailz2C started 23 years ago.
Oh,
But
okay.
so I've been doing nails for 23 years, but the Nailz2C and more started roughly about 5 years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, it's been something you've been doing for a while. I mean, as growing up, I always ask people that's why I like these one-on-ones because we can get, into, everybody has a story, how
Yeah.
they got to where they are. And sometimes they end up doing things that have no relation to what they experienced growing up. But sometimes it does if you really think back on it and say, wow, was it any people in your neighborhood or in your household that sort of influenced you, that made you sort of be on the track of say, I really want to work for myself one of these days? Because I'm assuming, as a nail tech, you at one point you probably worked for somebody else.
Yeah, I did.
So
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, I like to say that growing up, it's 8 of us. My mom has 5 girls and 3 boys.
And you grew up in the city of Portsmouth,
And I've been here in
Portsmouth, Virginia.
Portsmouth all my life. Portsmouth, Virginia. This is all I know.
Went to Woodrow Wilson High School.
I did go to Woodrow Wilson High School. I did not finish my education, though, with Portsmouth Public Schools. I dropped out in the 9th grade. I was a teen mom. So I dropped out in the 9th grade. And I went back several times to pursue a GED. And I just wasn't interested because every time I went back, I didn't realize that I thought I would be in a class with people of my peers, but I wasn't. I was in a class with all ages, all races of people. And so I was like, if you 20 some years old and you're in a classroom with somebody who's 50, 60 years old and the teacher have already explained the assignment. And then every time after we got to start the assignment, here you go, got somebody older saying, what was the instructions?
Yeah.
That did it for me. I was like, listen, put me in a class of people of my age because this ain't gonna work for me. And so it just really never, I don't really got the right words, but it just never interests me to go further into that field, right?
And no pushback on the older people in the class, because probably during that time they had, when you go back and you hadn't had education, you go back and you're in your 50s, it takes a little long to sort of pick up on things. So and it can be, and I've been kind of in those situations too, it can be frustrating,
Right.
For a younger person that picks up real quick on it, because I can remember being at Northam doing regular school, and this lady was in our class. She must have been coming back to school. She didn't come back to night school or anything. She came back to regular classes. So she must have been in her 50s, and
Yeah.
you know, and and she ended up being a good student, but she had to ask those questions,
Yeah.
because she just didn't pick up as quickly because she never had a formal education before that. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
listen. I'm learning right now. We're having interns in my establishment
yeah,
in my space. Yes, I definitely understand it now that I'm older. But of course, at that time,
at that time, yeah,
I didn't understand it. And in our home, my mom was a manager. We saw my mom. She was a manager for a place called Tasty Freeze in Portsmouth for years. It was
yeah,
on Airline Boulevard. And then my dad, he retired from the Navy, and then he always worked on cars. Now, moving into the entrepreneur field now, my dad was an entrepreneur back then. We didn't see it that my dad was an entrepreneur. We saw it that my dad worked on
just
cars.
worked on cars. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all we saw is my dad worked on cars, and everybody wanted Mr. David to work on their cars. And so we saw my dad. Oftentimes he wasn't home because he was out working on somebody's car. Being in the entrepreneur field now, a lot of times my family don't get to see me because I'm either here at the salon, the store, or I could be in the community doing something, or I could be attending some type of training and development class or something. And so it's it's kind of like the same process. I should say, but I don't think I looked at it at that time that my dad was an entrepreneur. I don't think I looked at it like that. So no, I didn't have that piece coming up where I was inspired to just gravitate into the entrepreneur field because at that time we didn't see it that way. We saw it. My mom and my dad at work. We saw it. My mom was a manager, and if we was hungry, we could go up to her job and get us some food, and she'll write us a ticket, right? And if anybody in our families cars ever broke down, my dad fixed the cars.
yeah.
That's what we saw. And so,
And that was an important job in the neighborhood. Those shade tree mechanics, it's
yes,
a little more difficult now because the cars are so complicated. But you know, back then they designed the cars now where you almost have to take them back to the manufacturer. But those guys that could work on cars, because I always envied them,
yeah,
uh, and it save you a lot of money. But yeah, they were entrepreneurs, but none of us saw them as that. They just saw them,
mhm.
that's something they did to make some extra money.
Yep, exactly right. That's exactly
Mhm.
right. That's exactly how we saw it. Yep,
Because
and
pro-
and-
probably if they could, they probably would branch off and have their own shop. But it was a little difficult then to even get the money, to qualify for anything to even open your own shop, and that was taking a risk when you had family.
yeah, yeah, and I think it was probably about 2 months ago. I
Hmm.
mentioned it to my dad about 2 months ago. And even to this day, my dad, don't quote me, but I want to say about 75 years old, he still didn't see it as entrepreneurship. He
Hmm.
still try to work on cars. Right now, we be like, Pops, give it up, Pops. 75, give it
Yeah,
up. But he still try right now to work on those cars.
yeah,
And so we just like, we didn't see it. We didn't see it that was entrepreneurship for us. We just didn't see it that way.
yeah. So I mean, but
Thank
you
you.
didn't see it, but you saw, how hard working your parents were, and that was something uh, that was instilled in you, whether you knew it then, and which is why you are like you are today. I watch your videos, and you come on the videos, and in between when you got time to promote your business or talk about what's going on there. But it's always something going on at work, and like you said, you're in the community as well. So, what was there anybody else in the community that you saw and didn't really think about it at that time, but you kind of admired, and you said, I kind of want to be able to work like that. I probably want to be my own boss one day. You know,
Well, I would say this to take it back. I would definitely say my parents. I definitely saw my parents as leaders. They definitely were leaders. Um, I started working when I was 15 because I didn't really have a whole lot of choice. At that point, I had 2 babies. And one thing about my mom, she didn't keep your children. You had those children. My mama wrote that mama well. You pop the baby out and you get a baby to your mama. Oh no, I had that kind of mama.
No.
I had that kind of mama.
I already had 8 of y'all.
Yeah, it was 8 of us. And now I done brought in 2 babies, started at 13, got pregnant again at 14, had a baby at 15. Oh, I got to go out there and get some money. I got to work. So school wasn't something I thought about because I knew I had 2 little people looking at me. I had 2 sons. So I had to think about taking care of my sons. And my second son came out with some disabilities. So that was even at that time, I didn't know what it was. I just knew he was different from my oldest son. But
was he autistic?
No, he wasn't. He was not to be too graphic. I was abused by his father.
Okay.
And so I didn't have a normal pregnancy. And so he came out with some difficulties. He was deficiencies because of it. And I had a normal cycle, like if you weren't pregnant, I had a normal cycle throughout my pregnancy because of the abuse. And so his intellect was a little different. It was a lot slower than normal. He's 31 years old now. He's doing good. He hold down his own jobs. He's a leader at wherever he's worked. And he's recognizing now that he didn't want to accept it then, but he's recognizing now that there are some things that he may not get real quick as another young man, but he does well for himself. He don't have any children, and he is definitely a worker. He definitely is a worker. He loves his mama. And so my oldest son, he's 32. He's still walking around here. Just talked to him last night. He gave me 5 grandchildren. And
big family, you know, 8 of y'all, and now the grands are coming.
We got a huge family.
Yeah.
We got a huge family. And so when I started at 15, by the time I was 17 years old, they asked me to be a shift supervisor for Burger King. I don't know if you remember when Burger King was in Farrell Homes, because we was raised in Farrell Homes, on the corner of, what is that? Victory and Greenwood.
Greenwood Drive.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was a shift supervisor at that time at that location, and I stayed there for quite some time. And then when I was there, between Burger King, McDonald's, Manor Market, Texaco, that Blanchard had one time, that was on Portsmouth Boulevard, 7-Eleven, Farm Fresh, Harris Teeter, wherever you name it, I was always a manager, right? And so I remember I got saved when I was 23 years old, and I kind of didn't really know what I was doing at the time. It was a traumatic experience that happened, and it introduced me to Jesus. And then I played around a little bit, but I was still managing. And then I came all the way fully back in when I was probably about 28. But I'm saying that to say that that's when I started, the light bulb clicked for me. That, it was so much more to life. But in between the times of coming up, and we're going to get to the community part, is that when I was a teen mom, it was something years ago called Resource Mothers. And they were on what a up center is at right now, is where the Resource Mother location was at. It was called like Family Resource Services or something like that. But it was for basically teaching teen moms and women who had children how to kind of like parent, how to do household chores and things of that nature. And I had many mentors in my life. And so I always knew that I needed very influential people in my life to keep me going to where I needed to go. Because being a teen mom coming up, you would have a lot of people say what you won't gonna be, what you won't gonna become, what you could not do, what you could do. And I'm that type of person. If you tell me what I can't do, I'm gonna show you what I can do. How about that? How about I show you what I can do? I'm that person. And I remember telling my children, even when they were little, they're adults now, and I still tell them this to this day, is I never told you so. I never used the word I told you so. And so I always stood big on just getting involved, but I must say, when I got a lot more heavily involved in the community, I have to give credit where credit is due. There was a couple of people. Sonia Edwards was one. She was my nail instructor. Nikki Dancy was another. She's now a minister. And Pat Hines is the one who Pat really got me involved with more of the, baby, do you vote? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I remember one time I was trying to get something done in the city of Portsmouth, and I couldn't really get through. And I came to Pat one day and I said, Miss Pat, why is it that if you want something with the city, you got to know somebody to get it done? She said, well, baby, that's pretty much how it is.
Mm.
That's pretty much how it is. And when I learned that method, I said, okay, because I've always, one thing my mom raised us with too is being a giver. So anytime you hear me speak, anytime you hear me go out, you hear me do anything like that, you're going to hear me give recognition where recognition is due. Because my mom taught us how to give, she taught us how to help, and she taught us how to stick together. So our family, we stick together. My brothers, my sisters, I don't care what we do, we stick together. And so it wasn't till I had my last son when I ended up going through to nail tech school. Even then, I don't think I saw it as.
What created that pivot? You mentioned you were doing all these different jobs and you were a manager everywhere you went. So, I mean, you weren't making all the money, but you were
Right.
managing, you were making more than the people that were around you. So it
Right.
was pretty good being a manager at any of those places. You know, so what made the pivot? Were you always interested in nails, but
I wasn't. That's
the
what I was going to
opportunity
say.
just came?
No, that's what I was going to say. It was a young lady. Her name is Benella Cassell. She works for Portsmouth Housing Authority. But back in the day, because I'm 46 now, probably in my 20s, she was doing nails. And I will
Mm-hmm.
always call her because I will always want to change the color of my nails. I have never in my entire life that I can remember ever been to a Victorine salon. I'm not discrediting them if that's what they, because I know
Right.
that's their culture. But for me, I always see value in my own people. And so I would go to her often to get my nails changed. And I was with my youngest son father at the time. He's a merchant seaman now. And I was just a stay-at-home mom. I was on Section 8. And he asked me, was it something that I had an interest in? And he'll tell anybody that talked to him, he'd be like, I don't remember that conversation. But women pretty much remember more than men anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sent me to nail tech school. He said, find out how much it costs and I'll send you to school. And that's when I came into Sonia Edwards. She had a nail school years ago called Into Nails Academy. A lot of people now probably would know her by Beaded Jewelry by Sonia. She
Mm-hmm.
does beaded jewelry. She works at the shipyard. She has her own location, but she was a
Is she
phenomenal little.
downtown on Saturdays?
Do she? No, she don't be on downtown on Saturdays.
Okay,
Not to
I'm
my knowledge. Not to my
okay.
knowledge. Her location is on Western Branch Boulevard in Portsmouth. If you go into Maryview Hospital, is that Western Branch? I think. What's that
Yeah,
about?
I know what you're talking about now. Almost across from the
Yeah,
Corner Cafe.
Corner Cafe. Yep,
Yeah.
that's where her place is at. She's
Okay.
right there. But before then, when she actually taught the school, she was on Portsmouth Boulevard, where the firearm place, the pawn shop is at. Is a 7-Eleven, then there's a pawn shop
Mm-hmm.
by City Park. She was right there. She was right there. And it's so funny because where I'm at on High Street, she said she was down here on High Street years ago, but she was just across the street. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm watching my life unfold behind the people that I followed for years. And so what pivoted everything, to go back to what you're saying, is one day I was in Harris Teeter. I had been working for Harris Teeter for years. They sent me to different stores to train because they always said to me, your managerial skills are different. Now, mind you, people ain't gonna like this. Mind you, to be a manager for Harris Teeter, you had to have a degree. You had to have a high school diploma. You had to have everything to be a manager for their company.
Everything, everything you didn't have at the time.
There you go. Come on now, somebody. I remember having an interview with a young lady, and she interviewed me, and then she sent me over to this lady named Patty Mears, and she interviewed me, and she was like, "Oh, she got something. She got something." Not once did they ask me for my high school diploma. Not once did they ask me for my degree. You know what I told them? It won't nobody but the grace of God.
Yeah.
God will put you before great people to take you where you go. And that's another reason why I always give credit to God.
Yeah. And you just have to recognize it, so often people miss their blessing.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Because they're looking for it in a different place, and it's right there in their face, and they don't realize it.
It's right there in their face. And when I was at Harris Teeter one day, I remember one of my mentors, Miss Denise Quarles, she said, I used to always call her because I would get all these phone calls about getting their nails done. And I remember like clear as like yesterday, one day she said, baby, stop asking God for something you ain't ready to prepare to give the people. And I said, ooh, that hurt me. I could feel that hurt me. And so I came home because I'm newly divorced, been divorced about almost 2 years now. And I came home one day and I said to my husband at that time, I said, what would you say if I said I'm going to quit Harris Teeter and do nails full time? He said, Lisa, are you sure? You make a lot of money at Harris Teeter. I said, yeah, but I think it's probably about time that I just take a leap of faith and trust God on this one. Because God had always been the center and focus of my business. It wasn't necessarily me working for Harris Teeter. When I went to Harris Teeter, I needed insurance because I started dealing with some health challenges. And so I just basically needed some insurance. And sure enough, I remember I ended up going and I went and talked to the manager at the time. I had switched roles. I came out of management and went into scanning and receiving. And everything that I did had purpose in my life to set me up for where I'm at now. And I remember telling Kenny Spool two times I had to go to Kenny. One is when I was turning in my keys because I was leaving management and he didn't want to receive my keys. 2 is when I decided I was going to walk away from Harris Teeter and full-time do nails. And I remember he set me in the office. I'll never forget it. I think I was making roughly about $17 and some change an hour. He set me in his office when I said first I was going to go part-time. And then he said, well, what the company can do, you can stay part-time and still run your company, but we'll pay you $9 an hour. I said, from $17 all these years, I done worked here, built myself to where you'll give me $9. Peace. I'm not working for nobody for no $9 an hour.
And your lifestyle was dependent on that 17, not 9.
Yeah.
I mean, you had set yourself,
Yep.
That's how you were living.
Yeah. And I walked away. I walked away. And I ain't looked back since. I walked away.
Lisa, I want to ask you a question about your business, and I want to go into your business and what you do. But you mentioned something earlier about the nails and Vietnamese. I had a guest on here not too long ago that opened up. She had a hair salon, but she also opened up a shop or a store where she sold hair, like most of the Asian people sell hair. And she talked about how difficult it was because, they had, they kind of cornered that market as far as, you go in the Asian shop with the hair, they got inventory out, that's out of this world. And for her to try to get that and then to get people to support her because of the position she was in, she had to charge a little more. And, how we are, we're going to look for that bargain. So instead of really supporting her and getting her to that point where her prices could be more competitive, we tend to just go to the other people. And I can imagine it might be something like that in the nail business, because you see a lot more Asian nail shops, than you do possibly Black owned. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong there. So how is that, as far as competing there? Are you getting the support that you really need? Obviously, you're doing okay. I mean, your business, and mention the address on High Street you are, where you are.
Okay, so Nailz2C is located at 614 High Street in the Old Town community.
Okay, we'll say that several times. Just want to make sure people that don't know from now on where you are. But just like I was saying, with competing in that field where it's kind of dominated. I don't know. From what I see, I don't know. Is the nail business more dominated than others than more African Americans?
Well, I would say this. Now we're talking about a time span.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I can only share my experience. For me, for whatever reason, even before I knew God, I've always had an older clientele. That was
Mm-hmm.
one. So if you know anything
And
about,
they're usually dedicated to.
there you go right there.
Yeah.
Seasoned women, if you treat them good, they're going to treat you good.
They
That's
won't go
one.
anywhere else.
They ain't going nowhere else. Then, if you know anything about seasoned women, they talk. They
Mm-hmm.
talk. So they talk to their friends, and then they tell a friend, and then, they come. Three, for me, I'm not just a nail tech, I'm an educator. I cater to their personal care needs. I did not understand it when I took the course when I was 23. Why they taught us about the skin, the bones, the nerves, the muscle, all of that. However, I understand it. I came to understand it probably about 15 years ago, because I was young when I started, but then as I matured and came back into God's way, seemed like stuff picked up. And so you're gonna hear me say that a lot, because I believe that that's what a lot of people is missing.
Mm-hmm.
For one, you got to have a vision, and for two, you got to have a mission. So you got to have purpose. Now with the vitamins, the reason why vitamins can pretty much get rates as far as products at a better rate is because for one, they are their own supplier. Let's start there.
Okay.
They are their own supplier. Now with African American people,
sometimes have to go through them, right?
there you go. We go through them for some products.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the biggest thing I always want women to know is you got to know what you're getting. And years ago, we didn't know that we were using bad products because they were the supplier. An article came out some years ago teaching us the difference in supply, what the chemicals that you're utilizing on your customer skin. So now for me, my focus is always, do you have any kind of diabetes? Are you a diabetic? Do you have any medical issues? You fill out a form when you come see me, like you going to the doctor.
Yeah,
You fill
because
out a form.
people might not think that's important going
It's
to a
very
nail place.
important.
They say, "What am I in the doctor's office?" But all that's important. Especially
Yes,
with the
it is.
skin and even the nails. Your
Yes.
diet and everything has a lot to do with that. You all can work your miracles on those nails, but if you're not doing what you need to do as far as keeping your nails healthy,
Right.
that's a battle in itself.
And not just that, what we got to also remember is what you put in is what comes out. What I try to do is make it real to women that you got to think about. We hate the word cancer. We hate the word cancer. But if you just think for a minute, if you've ever been around anybody who's ever been exposed or ever been diagnosed with having some form of cancer, they lose it in two places. You see it first in your hair and in your nails.
Mm-hmm.
Your nails become very dark and you lose your hair because of the chemo, radiation, or whatever it is that you got to go through. Even if they put some medicine in you, it got to come out somewhere, right? And so I'm
Yeah,
saying
because
that
your hair and your nails are the only thing that continues to grow once you're grown.
that's true. I'm on a bunch of fat
I
and
just, I,
skin.
yeah, well, that happens too, but on everybody, and I just thought of that. Your hair and your nails, well, except for me, my hair, but my
Right.
hair grows other places. But your hair and your nails continue to grow, even well, it's something that continues to grow. So it's something to be said about that as far as your health is concerned. But go ahead, continue. Yeah.
But a lot of times, I don't want to say what frustrates me. I would say what disappoints me is that us as women, our lives are so busy that we don't take the time to really kind of say, you know what, I'm going to take this time to take care of me and pamper myself. We don't do our research. We go to the nearest block. And then when a medical outbreak happens, you could be a diabetic. They never asked you. You get cut. That cut is not going to heal like you would if you wasn't a diabetic. That cut is going to take a long time to heal. That's why you'll hear people say, well, I can only go to a podiatrist to get my toenails clipped. That is not true. You need to go to a licensed nail technician, somebody who's experienced and educated, who's going to take care of you and not abandon and hurt you and abuse you.
And that's why it's important to know, to fill out that form and let them know I'm diabetic, so they would know how to better care for your pedicure. Yeah. Especially, the feet, that's
and especially like
that's very important for a diabetic.
Say for instance, you're dealing with somebody who deals with inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain way you massage their legs. There's a certain way that you get that blood flow to go back up. You can't just let people just be you can't just do that. There are certain techniques that go in that. So say for instance, you're dealing with somebody who's allergic to something. They put it in the water. It's going to give you an outbreak. You're trying to figure out, well, where did these bumps come from? You could have been allergic to something they had in the water. But if you did not educate yourself, you won't know. Now, I will say that there are a lot of African-American nail technicians out here. It's just a trade. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you will find them mostly in full-service salons, or you will find them, when you think back, most of the time we were in full-service salons. So you're going to be in a salon where somebody's doing hair, makeup, barber, and all that. They're built all in one. That's the whole purpose of a full-service salon. But you have people who work out of their homes, and some people may be afraid to go in somebody's home, so they don't know that they exist. And then you got a lot of African-American people who just don't expose themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, because I don't have no problem with talking, I don't have no problem with promoting my business, and because I have people who supports and talk, and then I really take care of my clients. When I first started, we send out information to honor your birthday, honor your anniversary. If I'm having any type of event, I invite my clients. I do a customer appreciation every year. It's just the list goes on and on. We had our biggest gala for Nailz2C and more at the Edmonds Center right before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We had the event on that Saturday. COVID hit us where they shut us down that to Monday.
Wow.
So it happened right in time. So 2025, we will be hosting another event. And so I'm a give back person, and that makes a difference. And a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we don't believe in the give back method. You're going to get what you put out. And if what the Bible says, you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. You sow bountifully, you reap bountifully. So if you are not willing to give somebody else something that you have, you're not going to reap it back, and that falls in your business. And a lot of people miss that valuable tool. One, they don't have a vision. They see that, let me do nails because it make money, but it may make money for them, but it may not make money for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because your motives is wrong, your purpose is wrong. You're not gifted in that area. You're not called to do that. And so for me, not just that, I have people that actually call me for their parents. I take care of their parents. They won't take their parents nowhere. I had a customer in here just Saturday, lady in her late 70s, 80s. And I looked at her toenails and she said she went to a podiatrist. I said, I can't believe he cut your toenails like this. The podiatrist. I go to 1 foot, 2 foot and suffer. And the owner of that practice asked me to come work for them. Because he said, I have never seen somebody so passionate about it in my life. And so, but when you know what you've been called to do, it's not work. It's not work. So that's why it didn't bother me to get up and be here early. My day on Tuesday started at 9 o'clock. I opened my doors at 9 o'clock. And so it didn't bother me because it's not work. It's not work for me. I love what I do. I love people.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lisa, I want to ask you this too, and this question will probably help any people that might be considering going in business for themselves. Now, you said you had a lot of positions where you were a manager or something like that, but being a manager is a little different. You can get a little bit of the business sense, but a little different from owning your own business. So where did your business sense come from? I know SWAM offers classes to help people to really navigate through the business side of opening and owning a business, because once you open, you have to maintain that business, and it's a lot involved with the RIS and everything like that. So where did that business sense come from? Was that something that you picked up along the way, or did you take classes for it, or was it really a part of all those mandatory positions you held?
I'm glad you said that. That's where it came from. I'm going to tell you, out of all the jobs that I had, the one that was the best beneficial to me was Harris Teeter. If you do the history on Harris Teeter, I want to say it verbatimly, but Harris and Teeter is two different people for the people that don't know. So they took one person's one name and then the other person other name, and they put them together, right? And they train and put us in classes all the time at Harris Teeter. I mean, when I say we went through so much training and development, and I tell people that oftentimes, look at what you did in your previous years. When you own a business, look at what you did in your previous years and see what is it that you took away from that. A lot of us go to work and we just go to work, but what are you taking away from what they're trying to teach you about their company? What are you taking away from what you learned, whether you was a cashier, whether you cleaned the bathrooms, whether you stocked the shelves, whether you brought your inventory? You got to remember, I went to management. From management, I went into shipping and receiving, basically where you put the prices on the shelf and when you bring the inventory in the back door. So when I then decided to open up a gift shop, I got the idea, be honest with you, I got it from Cracker Barrel. And we was going to Cracker Barrel. This is when I was previous married. And it just made sense. I said, man, they said it's going to be about 10 minutes. And I started walking around, and I said to him at that time, I went back home that night after we ate. I said, Michael, what would you say if I said I wanted to open a gift shop? He said, Lisa, I would say do it because you're going to do it anyway. And sure enough, even though coming here is not really much of a wait because I schedule my clients hour on the hour, but they do tend to browse in the store.
Yeah, that's almost like those where when you're checking out, they have all those things at the checkout counter
that
like you grab and put on the conveyor belt because it's there. And and I got to admit, when I go to Cracker Barrel, my wife and I, when we go there, it seems like we always get something.
Yeah, and then I'll register
or we walk around in there while we're waiting or after we eat, just to see what they have.
Yeah, just to see what they have. And they be having some really nice stuff that you would have never even thought about. They got a children's section in there and everything. But here at the front of our registers, we have nice inspirational journals, Christian based for men and women. We have the old-fashioned candy that you can get from over there in Norfolk. Say, for instance, you don't want to go over there in South Norfolk and get the candy. We carry it right here in our store. I don't know anybody else in Portsmouth that carry it in their store. And so that idea there again came from one of my mentors. She said, Lisa, you probably do good if you get some of this candy and put it in your store, and been doing good ever since because most of my clients are older, right? And so that's one. Yes,
so coming in your shop is an experience.
Yeah, it is.
Get a lot of things done.
But I have since when COVID hit, I met Brian Donahue. I connected with Portsmouth Economic Development. And what a lot of people didn't know is that during that time, let me back up a little bit. I also have an accountant, always have an accountant. And I would say being disciplined and obedience take you somewhere. Because a lot of times you make the money. I'm going to be transparent for a minute. Say, for instance, if I bring in, I ain't saying I do, but let's just say if I do. If I bring in $1,500 in 1 week, you got to be able to manage that $1,500 in that 1 week because you got to keep that, to pay your bills. I got overhead. I got a house to run still. I got to buy my products. I got
employees.
You got to think about all of that. And so during that time when they closed us down, I said, Lord, help me, Jesus. What am I going to do? And so I went home and did nails. I'm just being honest. I went home and did nails, and I made more at home than that. But with economic development, because I still paid my bills and stuff, because you had to still pay your bills. You still have to have your records showing that Nothing was behind. You didn't get put out, but you were affected by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Portsmouth Economic Development gave us a check for over $7,000 for
Mm-hmm.
all the time we was closed down. It was a grant that was helping the business owners in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
So when they did that, I said, this is a good resource right here. This is a good resource. So I started taking their classes. I did take a SWAM certification class with them. I took a government class with them in case I wanted to get government contracts. The gentleman I'm with now, my fiance, he has his own company. So I said, if I can't get the contract, at least I can get the information for him so I can help him with the contracts, with government contracts, because of the type of work that he does. I also got connected with Old Dominion University Women's Business Center. So I've taken classes with them. I took one class called Dream Builders, and then I also took a class called Financial Wellness, where Angela Riddick, Dr. Angela Riddick, she taught that class at the Mustard Seed Place. So I took that, and then I recently took a class with I did some networking with Retail Alliance. I didn't even realize that was an actual organization. So I said I was going to join that organization, and just being connected to economic development has taken me so far, and got me where I'm at. On top of Shannon Glover, when I got connected with Shannon Glover, I didn't know where I was going to go. I knew I was on airline. I wasn't really seeing a good revenue on airline. I was doing good with Nailz, but my store wasn't doing good. And I said, Shannon, I need somewhere to go. I mean, I really don't want to leave Portsmouth because I'm born and raised in Portsmouth, and this is what I know. And he said, Lisa, they're building up Old Town. Bring your business to Old Town. Granted, I did have some people that, just put it this way, everybody on school board, I know every last one of them.
Yeah.
Everybody on city council, I know them all. I'm real connected. Police department, I know them. Chief Jenkins, I know them.
Yeah, all those people you mentioned, if you're in business, that's wise to know those people.
Right. Fire department, Miss Sharice Horton, I know them all. When I do my events for the kids, I know who to call. The sheriff, Chief Jenkins is police department. The sheriff department is what's the man's name? I cannot think right now. I got a brain fart. But him
Sheriff
too.
Department.
Sheriff
Michael Moore.
Michael Moore. I call Michael Moore department. They have they stepped in and helped me on plenty of cases too. But I got to Michael Moore through Tracy Avery. Tracy Avery. I got to him through her. I met Miss Stitt one year because of Tracy Avery.
Yeah, and you remember what Miss Patsy Hines told you?
Yeah, it's who you know. It's who you know. And when I
And
tell you,
it's who you know, but your goal is, once you know those people, is to be one of those people to know.
yes.
So you can help others. And saying that, I know you. I remember Norcom at one time. I don't know if they still had it. They had a nail program. Do they still have that?
Yes.
And
They have a nail tech from there.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
So that's what I was getting to. I think you have some of the nail techs out. And so do they come after they graduate, or do they come while they're still students? And
well,
how does that work?
What happened with that? Economic development asked me to be a part of a job fair, and Nancy Seymour went and was a part of the job fair at Manor High School, and I met a young lady there. I met 4. But this one young lady, it was something about her. I could really see me in her. And so I gravitated to her because youth is my ministry too. That's what I do. Ministry wise, I cater to the youth. I minister and I help out anything with youth involvement, youth engagement. You call me, I'm a help. So I brought her in, and she came to me right before graduation. We had a signing day with Portsmouth Public Schools down in the headquarters where the police department, in that kind of auditorium part, and we did like a signing thing through Portsmouth Public Schools saying that she got a job here. But then also I got connected through their entrepreneurship class CTE program for the summer. So they sent me 3 more interns from that program. And 2 of them came from Norcom and 1 came from Churchland. And 1 of them is actually a hairstylist out of Norcom High School. And 2 of them, they're working to help with marketing skills and how to run a store. They never knew how to do this before, but now they know by working here with me. And so, and it's so ironic that I have this meeting with you, because the CTE coordinator sent me an email, and Lord and behold, she said, "Hey, I was actually tasked with helping the middle schoolers in entrepreneurship, and we're going to be down in downtown Portsmouth today. They're doing a class, and they are also doing some training, and we would like to stop them into your store if you don't mind to just speak
Wow.
to the middle schoolers." I said, "You know what, God, you doing something." That's why I can only give credit to God, because when I say He will expose you, God will expose you. And I had to drop inside my group at my church and tell my pastors and them, y'all say this is the year of expansion. God is doing something with Lisa and Nancy and more.
Yes.
He is. He is. I
You
don't know
just
what it is, but I give him glory.
you
That's
just
all
have
I
to
can say.
trust him. So, and we'll probably have conversation again, but I don't want to run out of time before I mention this. You know, what are some of the other things that you do? And I remember when you were on Airline
Yeah.
Boulevard, and but you know, much better location where you are now, because you
Yes.
know, Portsmouth, one of their goals was to make downtown a walkable downtown, so you have a lot of foot traffic down there, with people that's come over on the ferry, or staying at the Renaissance for any amount of reasons, and to make it, you know, make it the environment pleasant for people to walk downtown, and you never know what you might walk up on, you know, and it's a variety of business. So that's probably a good location for you. But what would you tell people that know your business, but they don't know all the things that you offer as far as services in there? I saw you mention something about locks, you know, and
Yeah, yeah. The young lady that I got from Norcom, she does all type of. She does lock retwist. She does what I want to say they call it 2-strand twist. She do box braids. She does stitch braids. She actually does hair too, but she does a lot of braiding. She does wigs. But I do have a master stylist here, Evelina Barnes. She does all style of hair, from sew-ins to natural care hair to she does it all. She does
Mhm.
everything. And then we also have my daughter, where she does locks, but she does locks with artificial hair. So it's called um what do we call them locks? It's not locks with your natural hair. It's locks with artificial hair, basically.
You
I'm
know,
trying.
all kinds
It's,
of styles that come in there,
yes, so she does that.
and wow,
I
and you
have another
mentioned,
lady. She's going to be coming in September. She's moving down here into Portsmouth, because she's getting married to a man in Portsmouth. So she'll be here. I am looking for another nail tech, but in the retail part, we sell everything from apparel to natural care products to candles to jewelry to travel bags. We sell personalized gift baskets, greeting cards, old-fashioned candy, inspirational devotional books, journals. We sell a whole lot. We sell
yeah, and I know some
stuff.
special event things. You do something. I
Yeah,
saw
I
you had
do host my own
a Mother's
classes.
Day promotion and things like
Yes,
that.
I do host my own classes.
Yeah.
I just did something. I just partnered with Lindsay Anderson. She's with Vision Driven. She does something with the kids every year. And this year, I didn't do my back to school drive, but I partnered with her. So she's gonna be dropping off a box here where people can bring in back to school supplies. And every year I do an angel tree drive. This has been the 5th year with Hodges Manor Elementary School. That's who I adopted. Hodges Manor
Mhm.
Elementary School, where we back Christmas for the kids every year. And I want to make sure I say this too. I'm a
Mhm.
licensed notary, but I would say this: if I had to sum everything up, I would say I'm a very resourceful
Mhm.
person, and a lot of people come to me. And I'm not into politics. I am just a concerned citizen in the community. However, because I touch the hands of many people, my goal this year is to really kind of educate and get the young people from the ages of 18 to 26 to vote. And
It's important. Yeah.
I've had older women in their 50s to talk about, they come to me because I'm 46 to talk to me about the people that's running now, whether it's school board or council that's in my age group. And they said, I don't know them people, Lisa. What can you tell me? So sometimes it's the people that you don't think about that have an influence on other people because they value your opinion. And what I always tell people is the one thing Pat has, if I can't remember nothing, now she said is do your own research, baby.
Yeah, and
Don't go off of what I say.
you hear
Do
us talk
your
about that a
own.
lot on our shows, Portrait Coffee Talk, and I say it here a lot. Do your own, vet the candidates, because you never know. Uh, you might have a diamond in the rough, or just do your own research, and that person might be the one that serves your interests as well as the interests of the whole city.
And I'm only saying that because I know quite a bit of everybody who's running. And I made a comment during the festival, and Shannon was out here walking. I said, Shannon, I really want to meet Kitty. I really want to meet her, find out what she's about, what she got going on, Miss Bryant. And he said, okay, say no less. You want to meet her? And I said, yeah. It wasn't in 5 minutes. A lady walked in my door, and she said, let's go to lunch. And that's what I opposed to all of them. Anybody that's running that came here, I said, let's go to lunch. Let's talk. I have yet. Hear me good. I have yet to get a lunch date. What is it that you hadn't? I'm not a politician, but what is it that you don't want to be told? So my goal is to get those 18 to 26 to know it's important to vote. The young lady that's in here doing hair, she came and she said, Miss Lisa, look at what they saying. Look at what they saying. And she read me a long list of what they were saying about our presidential election as well as just voting. And she said, I would have never voted if this wasn't shared to me. She said, but now I'm going to make sure I vote. So yeah. I'm telling you, you just don't need our votes. You need their votes too, because guess what? They are at stake.
Yeah.
They are our future.
And they're the future, and things
I would say for anybody, please come and have an interview with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, people are asking and they're saying, Lisa, what you think? So is that who you know? Is who you don't know?
Yeah. Yeah. The conversations you have in a salon or nails, be it hair, just like in a barbershop. But are your people coming?
I don't see nobody. I'm in my office, so I can see outside my door.
Yeah.
They can't see me, but I can see them.
Yeah, but before we go, and you mentioned something about your daughter there, and it's something that we talk about on the other show a lot, creating that generational wealth. And a lot of times it can be created through businesses and things like that, because you're creating a legacy for your family, and your daughter's working in there. And so often, so many of us African Americans, we and I don't think it's always true. They say we can't work together as families as far as business is concerned, but we see other ethnic groups doing it. So I think it's important to create that generational wealth. And if your offspring want to come into the business, fine. You can't force them to do that, but at least you're creating something for them, a legacy for them to carry on. When you no longer choose to do it. So
right,
that's important as well.
Yeah, my daughter didn't want to do nails. I tried when she was younger. She worked with me everywhere. She would take off the fingernail polish, paint little girls' nails and stuff. Because I don't do children. Because for one, I'm not one that's big on getting children's nails done before it's time. When it comes to any kind of chemicals and artificial services. Now, when it comes to fingernail polish, little babies, they tend to put their hands in their mouth. You don't want that lead and stuff to get down in their system. So I'm not opposed to doing children. Our salon do not offer services to children unless they be in service. So this is a relaxing atmosphere where women come to relax and they want to be able to enjoy themselves and take away their cares and take away their problems. So we do not allow children in with their parents like you would see somewhere else, and then their liability issue. And so I work hard to protect my business and the insurance that I have on it. And see, that's the kind of that goes back to what we was talking about when it comes to entrepreneurship and running a business. Many of us want to do halfway in the business. We don't want to go all the way.
Right.
And if your business supposed to have insurance, pay that insurance. It's going to help you in the long run, right? And so, so she does do lots, but I remember when we got this location here, my daughter, I was trying to create it at Airline, and my daughter couldn't see it. She came in here, and because this was an already made salon, she said, "Mama, I see it now. I see it." She couldn't see it at first, though. She
Yeah.
could not see it at first, but she see it now. And when I have those the 3 interns, and then the one youth nail tech, she'd be like, "Mom, you don't got to keep taking all these kids." I said, "Baby, if I don't help them, and if somebody don't give them a chance, how they gonna know?"
Yeah.
And so I grew up with my kids because I started at 13. My daughter's 28. I'm 46. So I have a pretty good relationship with my kids. When people see me with my son, they don't even believe he's my son because he's 32. I'm 46.
Mm-hmm.
So they like, "That ain't your son." I be like, "It's definitely my son."
Yeah, and your story is everybody has a story. Your story is also encouraging to other teen moms out here.
Yeah.
That you don't have to accept the route that you might think you have to go if you're a teen mom. The
Right.
sky is still the limit. You still can
Yes,
do
it
anything
is.
you want to do. It might be a little more difficult. It might be a struggle, but all good things usually come from a struggle.
Yeah. And I would tell people this because I don't want somebody to get stuck on the fact that I said that I had no interest in getting my GED. If that's your desire, if that's your heart's desire, the Bible says, "Delight yourself in me and God, and He will give you the desires of your heart." I remember walking into TCC one time, and they told me they couldn't help me because I didn't have a high school diploma. All I had to do, this is how I look at it. I was not connected to the right power source.
Hmm.
I got connected to the right power source when I met Erica at ODU.
Hmm.
So I can say that I've taken a course through ODU. I
Hmm.
just went through the Women's Business Center. I can say I done met a multimillionaire because I met Angela Riddicks and I walked with her for 8 weeks. I
Hmm.
can say that. I can say that I'm working with the city of Portsmouth because I'm connected to Portsmouth Economic Development. So you can get where you're trying to go, even if you feel like you don't have your high school diploma. I don't have my GED. I have all type of certificates of completions, and people call me all the time asking me for interviews and to teach and to help. One thing about it, what's for you is for you. God said He will make room for your gift. And so it wasn't that I felt like it never stopped me from pursuing my purpose in life. So
Yes.
for me, you're telling me, get it. I don't know if you remember Evelyn Edmonds,
Evelyn Edmonds.
Curtis Edmonds' wife,
Oh yeah,
Bishop
yeah,
Curtis Edmonds. Where
yeah. I
Bishop
was
Curtis
in school with her
Edmonds,
brother.
yes, he is my uncle through marriage.
Hmm.
His wife, Evelyn Edmonds, was my English middle school English teacher.
Hmm.
I do her nails to this day. I call her my aunt because of her husband. And she said, "Mona, you don't want to get your GED?" I said, "Why, Auntie? Because you want me to get it?" She said, "It'll make you feel better." I said, "Auntie, I feel great right now." And every time she see me, she said, "Girl, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you." When
Yeah.
Dr. Bradley put me out of school at Crawford High School, when she see me come back and sit on a class, it was a class that never was at Norcom High School. I was invited there. And I went up to her and she said, "Mona." I said, "Dr. Bradley, I got my own business." She said, "Girl, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you." So it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
It's how you finish, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed. And speaking, and I'm glad you made the time for me to come on here for Slim Nation 101 and have a conversation. I knew you had a great story. I just wanted to get it on my platform. But
Okay.
before we end, give the address of your
Okay.
business again and the hours of operation and what days you're open.
Okay. So Nailz2C and More is located at 614 High Street in the Old Town community of Portsmouth, 23704. We're open Tuesdays through Saturdays. Tuesdays we're open from 9 to 6. Wednesday we're open from 10 to 7. Fridays we're open from 10 to 8, and Saturdays we're here from 9 to 2. But sometimes we're here a little bit after, but the hours on the door say 9 to 2.
Okay, and and it's by appointment and walk in, or
Okay, so it's by appointment for Lisa Graham. Yes, the owner. But for Kaya, you can walk in.
Okay, and walk in anyway because you have that gift shop there. So
yes, please walk in. Oh,
yeah,
they walking in anyway. But
yeah.
yes, please. And then we got hairstylist Miss Evelina Barnes. She definitely would prefer you to do an appointment because she's not here on Tuesdays. Because she's into insurance and real estate as well. And so she has that other, she's a serial entrepreneur as well. So she has a lot of things that she does. And then right now with Taya is here until she goes off to boot camp. She does hair, so you can walk in with her. She will be here to roughly about September or October. Then she's going off into the Army to pursue her career there as well.
Okay. Well, Lisa, thank you. And I want to do a few shout outs to the people that join you here. Ray Anthony Smith, who was my classmate at IC Northam. He made a comment. Lisa is an amazing, engaging, knowledgeable young entrepreneur.
Oh.
And of course, we have Real Neat. And Pat Hines, of course, and Tamara Shoemate, Roberta Carter, and who else do we have up here? Ronald Cross, Tyler Van Hardy, and many more that came through. Eugene Swinson.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Paula Don Coltrane, Vernon Tillis, David Smith. I'm sure you know all these people that's named because each one of them, David Warren, each one of them left encouraging or good comments for you. So I appreciate you coming on here. And I just want to tell everybody, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this as we're here live now on Facebook and YouTube, but you can watch this later on. It's going to be on our YouTube channel forever and Facebook as well, and on X, formerly Twitter. So thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Hope I'm gonna take the time out and come down there and visit your shop.
Bring your wife. She'll love it.
Yeah. That's what I plan on doing. Bringing her and let her see it. I'm sure she'll find something in there that she likes. She loves candles, and I think some of the apparel you have in there might satisfy her, and the nail thing too. So
yeah, of course, let her pamper herself. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and you be careful. Be careful. You take care, and continue to do what you do, especially what you do in the community and helping others.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Take care, everybody, and thanks for watching the
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right.
Bye-bye.
It's time for us to sit down at the table and turn this chaos into something stable. For love, one-on-one. We will not accept defeat, not on our land, not in our streets. Getting it done. Reaching out to save the youth, letting them know the truth. Slim Nation is where good conversations dwell. Positive affirmations well make a strong nation as we spread the love. Slim Nation is where